Well, hey everybody. So technical stuff happens, and this Wednesday night's live stream, something happened. I don't know. All of Restream's numbers were fine. All of my internet numbers were fine. I did, before you ask, yes, I rebooted right before the live stream, and yes, I rebooted both the modem and the router before the live stream. And again, all of my bandwidth numbers and everything that Restream said was coming in and going out both said they were fine. So what we did, Terry and I decided to go ahead and keep recording after the live stream stopped. And so here is the mostly complete video of the live stream with the recording that we continued afterwards. And so I know that this is useful information to you. We will have Terry on again and hopefully not have these technical issues again, because this is honestly the first time in probably 6 weeks that we've had issues with the live stream. So don't despair. Join us for the next one. I think next is Justin Esgar from Virtua Computers. Especially if you support Max as an MSP, you are not going to want to miss that live stream. But without further ado, here's Terry. All right, welcome back everybody to All Things MSP, the live stream that, we just talk about channel stuff. If you work for an MSP, if you own an MSP, this is a place where, we can just talk every week. I bring guests on here that talk about different specialties within the channel. Today we have an expert in marketing, owned his own MSP, which, a lot of us seems to be where a lot of us started out. But that's a good thing, right? Because we have firsthand experience in what we're talking about. So before I get started, though, I should, because, we try and get as many watchers, followers, subscribers, all of the YouTube and Facebook things. So if you're not familiar, we are a Facebook group. First and foremost, that's kind of how we got this thing started, by the way. Have a little over 4,100 members in the group now. So it's growing pretty well. Really appreciate everybody joining us there. Last year, we did start a company page on LinkedIn. Kind of one of the main reasons is so that we could stream to LinkedIn under kind of the All Things MSP banner rather than just my personal page, that kind of thing. And then, of course, we do have a YouTube channel as well. So like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when we post new videos, all of that fun kind of stuff. Just so, because we don't collect money here. So I collect all of my love from you by likes and subscribes. And if that doesn't move you to, do something, then I don't know what will. But without further ado, let me bring on my guest. A lot of you know him. He is the CEO of Marketopia. And Terry, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And see, you even get applause. I mean,
Wow. The crowd
what?
is roaring. I can hardly hear you. It's so loud. That was great. That was great.
Yeah, I probably should have turned that up. But anyway, um, so tonight I thought, because basically Terry's been where a lot of you are sitting. He owned an MSP, successful MSP, I might add, and then transitioned into helping MSPs with their marketing. So, first of all, Terry, I guess we probably ought to start out with you just introducing yourself and kind of giving us the brief synopsis of your origin story, if this were a comic book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm a Florida native. There's not many of us, but I'm certainly one. Born and raised in the Tampa area. Went to Atlanta after undergrad, traveled around the world, and then came back because it's a great place to live this time of year. It's 80, 85 degrees every day and 70 at night. So it's a pleasure. I grew up on a horse farm in Brooksville. So it came from humble beginnings, I guess you could say. Went to Florida, got my undergrad degree, went to Ernst & Young Management Consulting, where I had the honor of working with really amazing Fortune 100 corporations and learned quite a bit before deciding to return to my entrepreneurial roots. I started my first company when I was 14. So after undergrad and after Ernst & Young, I decided to come back and be an entrepreneur. Started an MSP while competing my MBA at the University of Florida, and we had some fun. We grew to 49 people in 6.5 years. We didn't have any funding, so we did it, with guerrilla marketing and hard work and that type of thing. Did that for a number of years, and then decided to sell the business. And I guess you could say retire, but it didn't quite work out. Obviously, ended up starting Marketopia, became I guess owner operator with my partner in life and business, Andra, and we really have had quite a ride. We have north of about 150 people, maybe a little bit more, offices in London, servicing EMEA, Pinellas Park, Tampa Bay, servicing the Americas, and then we just opened an office over in Manila to serve Asia Pacific. So excited about that, excited to make a difference, and excited to be here and contribute all I can for your audience to help them achieve their goals.
That's great. I had not heard about the office in Manila. Of course, I had heard about the office in London. I thought that was really cool when you guys did that. Now, I have to go back because, and I don't know if we've actually covered this before, but I am a Florida native as well, third generation actually, which is even kind of more rare. Uh, but when you had your MSP, what area of Florida was that located?
We started in Tampa,
Okay,
had an office near Tampa Airport, and then added another one in Sarasota, another one in Orlando, another one in Atlanta, and then we started one in Fort Lauderdale before being approached by the largest privately held copier equipment dealer in the states, and or I think it was the third largest at the time. And 2 months later, we were sold. Worked there for about a year. So I've it was born in Tampa Bay, and
okay.
we had a heck of a ride covering Florida and Georgia.
So what time frame were you in Orlando then?
I never lived there. Our office, we opened there in 2003 is when we started the MSP, and I would say we were probably in Orlando by about 2006 ish, something like that. Five. We opened, and then we started opening kind of a city every year too, to blanket the state. We found great benefit to geographic coverage. Just
Yeah.
providing more robust support to companies with multiple locations, and then there's a lot of credibility that goes with just size.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that means that you and I were actually competitors. Because I
Wow.
started, yeah, because I started in 2007. I was based in Mount Dora, um, which I'm sure you know of Mount Dora.
Yeah.
Um, and I covered pretty much Lakeland to Ocala, was kind of the range that we had clients in. So we didn't know it at the time, obviously, but we were competitors uh,
Wow.
during that time
That's
frame.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
that would have been fun. Yeah, we were headquartered. Our Orlando office was headquartered in the Orlando Science Center. We signed them as a
Oh, okay,
client,
yeah.
and we ended up taking office space from them. I love that city. Matter of fact, I'll be there this weekend for a tournament with my kid. A great place to live, great place to raise a family, and then of course it's a great place for out of towners to visit. It's hard to beat Orlando for the tourists.
Yeah, I got tired of 10 months of summer. I did.
Yeah.
But this is not what people are watching this for. So we should probably change the subject to marketing before we lose
Okay.
any more viewers. Um,
All right.
okay. So, uh, Terry, the first, I want to start out because, and you actually mentioned this in a recent email that I got from you, that 94% of MSPs, I think was the number, um, you know, have questions or have issues or just don't know what to do about their marketing. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you know a lot more about this than I do, but it probably comes from the fact that most of them are technicians turned entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. That our industry is filled with great people, I believe, passionate about technology, passionate about service and helping people, um, that have a unique gift in the way that they understand technology, perhaps more than the common man, and can really make a difference on the service side of the business, helping businesses leverage technology to grow and be more successful. and but they don't commonly have a sales and marketing background. A lot of them don't have a business background, so they end up becoming kind of service businesses, not necessarily valuable or fast growing, and can often become lifestyle businesses, unfortunately. Which, I wasn't a technical person. I'm not a computer guy. I've never built a computer. I've never racked a server. I've never, I'm nowhere near as capable technically as really any employee I ever had at my MSP. So I wasn't burdened by that. I came in and said, okay, well, you fix the stuff. I'll go get a new customer. And that was my role in the company. And then, of course, making sure the paychecks cashed was kind of the idea. And so it was a benefit to me because I had God gave me some pretty cool skills in those areas, and I was able to do something pretty cool, growing 50% a year for many years on average.
So when you're talking to MSPs, and I know you do a lot of speaking outside of Marketopia as well, just to the channel in general, because they're technicians turned entrepreneurs, what should they be looking at? What's the first thing they should do when they start thinking about doing marketing? What's that number one thing they should start with?
It's probably not the answer you're trying to get me to get to, but I will tell you that one of the greatest travesties that I've found in our industry is that great people that deserve great things, that deserve every dream that they have, don't achieve them, and they end up, mentioned sort of the lifestyle business. You kind of settle into that business that has 500,000 to 1.3 million in revenue, and they just basically created a job for themselves, and they never really achieve that goal. In fact, a lot of them get so busy kind of turning the cranks every day and working in the business that they don't step back and really keep the end in mind. So my first recommendation, probably the most important one of all, is to basically do what it takes to achieve your goals. What is the goal? What is our dream? What was when we started the business, what did we want to accomplish? Was it we wanted to create a job for themselves and we wanted a lifestyle business because we truly just love technology? Or do we want to build a business worth 10 million and sell it? And if so, by what time, what day? So the most important thing I would say is to figure out first what that long-term goal is, and in terms of what you want your business to become and by when, and then back that into sort of an annual goal, annual plan, and say, okay, if my business is worth, I want it to be worth 10 million in 10 years and it's worth 1 million now, I need to add $1 million a year in recurring revenue for it to be worth that. And then you take knowledge like that and then work with a marketing expert, a sales expert, and say, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to get the number of customers that I need to achieve that 1 million recurring per year? How many customers do I need? How many leads do I need? And then frankly, what do I do to get that number of leads? And so that exercise is to me the most important one for an entrepreneur to do, which is to turn that dream that they had, that goal that they had, into a plan with milestones and objectives and clearly defined goals on a short-term basis, and then go execute that plan.
So really, it's first of all getting the entrepreneur mindset, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know the book, but The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Um,
Incredible
that's
book.
that's the book that did it for me. Like because I am a technician turned entrepreneur, or a technician that had an entrepreneurial seizure, as he puts it, which I think is a great way to put it, right? Because we basically got frustrated for some reason and changed into, we decided to just take control and, put our lives in our own hands and start a business. And that's not necessarily, if you want to grow a business, it's not necessarily the way to start. And that's why a lot of us ended up with lifestyle businesses. Um, so first, yeah, I think that mindset shift is probably, you're right. That's the first thing you have to do. And by the way, E-Myth by Michael Gerber, the best book to change that mindset. It shows you exactly how and why you should change that mindset so that you can get into a real entrepreneurial, way of working, and then a plan. And really, part of that is not just a marketing plan, but it's actually having the business plan first, like you were talking about.
Mhm.
Is you've got to know what you want out of the business, details, numbers, so that you can actually then go say, okay, if I want to be here, whether that's $1 million, $2 million, 3 million, whatever, then you can write your marketing plan to get you there.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think everybody should go through that and then revisit it on an annual basis to see how things change. One thing that I think it's important for really all of your listeners to know is that everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. No matter how big your dream is, how soon you want to achieve it, everything is possible if you're willing to do what it takes to achieve that goal, right? Are you willing to take the risks required? Are you willing to do the work required? Are you willing to either hire the resources to do it or outsource it to a third party? Nothing is impossible. And it's so interesting because sometimes we get into a situation where we almost like become our worst enemy. We have this head trash about what's possible and what's not possible, what works and what doesn't work, and it ends up creating paralyzing fear where we're just simply uh, unwilling to take action, unwilling to take risks, unwilling to do what it takes to achieve our goal. And it's a travesty. It's an absolute travesty because I see the small fraction of businesses that truly understand sales and marketing end up beating out those that don't, and end up achieving extraordinary things like 50% annual growth, or selling their business for multiple millions, or retiring, kind of achieving the goal that everybody has. But that's really the one thing that's different. Most MSPs simply struggle with the sales and marketing side of their business. And that's what keeps them in that trap where they're just working every day trying to make payroll and trying to make a dollar and provide for their families and take a vacation every year or two or three or four, just kind of struggling to turn the crank and get it done, instead of rising up to that level of CEO and getting playing the game of chess, right? Getting all the pieces working together and creating a fully functional business where you have, the front end, bringing in new clients, the middle, doing the work, and then the back office, billing the customers and taking care of the administrivia. And they start getting into that balanced business, which creates a balanced life, which creates quality of life, and ultimately creates the quality retirement that everybody in this industry deserves.
Okay. So, and I think that's true, right? Because what is it? I think it's Grant Cardone and his 10x. You know,
Mhm.
um, aim for the 10x. And if you miss it and only get 1x, if you were aiming for 10 million and you went from 500,000 to a million that year, is that still a bad thing? No, it's not. So aim higher than you think you can get, because stretching is always a good thing. But let's kind of get back to brass tacks, I guess I should say. Um, and unfortunately, I think something is going on with the stream. Um, Hopefully the recording won't reflect it, because Restream is fine and I'm not noticing it on my end, which is really, really strange. So, guy, if anybody's having trouble with the live stream, I will check it out later when we're done. And if it's bad, I should have a good recording, and I'll go ahead and post the recording. So just in case you guys know. And hey, Jeremy, welcome to the show. Thanks, you could join us. Scott as well. So anyway, wanted to get that kind of out of the way and addressed. Um, so Terry, what are some of the things when they're thinking about putting a marketing plan together? What are some of the things, some of the elements that need to be a part of that marketing plan?
It's a great question. One of the things that I think a lot of us fall victim to is listening to the sales pitch of a company that has an agenda that's usually constrained by the services that they offer. And everyone would like to present themselves as a true solution to a business problem. But unfortunately, so many people that are marketeers or companies that are marketing and lead generation companies don't have all the skills required to do everything that's required to create that reliable flow of leads. And I'll give you an example. An SEO firm would tell you that SEO is the answer, and that you should invest whatever $2,000-3,000 a month in optimizing your website to make sure it comes up on Google. On a lead generation on the phone side, might say, okay, what you should do is dump all your money in telephony and get prospects on the phone to set appointments, and ignore your website and your social media presence and your proposal template and even your sales process. It's all about appointments. What I would tell you, what I would say is that true sustainable success in marketing requires you do many things at the same time, consistently with discipline, well. It's important to have a good website, but that website's worthless unless people can find it. So marketing it through Google, SEO, or pay-per-click is a great way to get your website noticed. It's important for you to have a social media presence so you look competent, so you build a following, so you look like a legitimate business. It's important to understand that marketing is a critical activity to maintain the brand and the brand recognition of your company, and that perceived competence and capability that so many MSPs have that don't convey that because they underinvest in that website and that digital presence. But that's not enough. Unless you're willing to pick up the phone and call all the people you market to on a consistent basis, the reality is, if you just rely on email and SEO and SEM and digital marketing, you're going to get leads, but it's going to be slow and perhaps less frequent than as you'd like it to be. What I've learned is that you complement an inbound marketing strategy like digital marketing with an outbound strategy like tele, and do them together, working together in harmony. And when you do that, it's remarkable how consistent it can be. We have customers that do both, that get, 1 or 2 leads a month, and that's all they want. And they're content with that, and they're closing 50%, and their business is growing, and they're happy as can be. And then we have customers who are getting 100 qualified appointments a month, or even some that are getting 100 new customers a month. And that's possible too. It's just an element of how much you do. The more you do, the more you make. The more customers you get, the more leads you get, that type of thing. So what I would say is that you go in with a holistic strategy and say, there's no reason to market a website that's not.
Anyway, so Terry, I know we just had some technical difficulties, so we'll make this. We'll kind of wrap this up for everybody so that we can, at least tomorrow they can watch a whole video, right? Now, Marketopia is there to help MSPs with marketing, and we talked. The title of this show was "Outsourcing for Growth," and we've already talked about how most MSPs are technicians turned entrepreneurs, so they don't have that sales and marketing background. So what can outsourcing generically, and then, obviously we want you to talk about Marketopia as well. What is the advantage of outsourcing for an MSP, specifically this industry? Because I think it's almost essential for an MSP to be able to outsource this, because we're just not good at it.
Right. I think marketing and technology are very similar in the sense that they're a lot harder to do right than they are to do. And that an MSP represents a very compelling value proposition to customers looking for a technology solution when compared to the trunk slammer, the sort of the amateur hack IT person, or an in-house IT team. And the reasons are exactly the same. It takes a collection of talent to achieve the ultimate goal of hope and achievement of goal on marketing, and peace of mind and uptime on the IT side, right? It takes a collection of skills to get 24/7 coverage and to have all the different skill sets necessary to be successful, from desktops to networks to strategy and virtual CIO and all the different disciplines of an IT person, of an IT firm. And MSPs bring together not only the people side, but also the collection of vendors, amazing vendors out there that have all these cloud services, SaaS products, hardware, everything coming together to form a true solution to the customer. So an MSP that wants to grow really has to decide for themselves, first of all, am I actually committed to growing and achieving the goal? Am I going to grow as fast as my intern can help me grow? Am I going to grow as fast as my amateur marketeer capabilities let me to grow? Right? Am I going to be my own marketer even though I have no skills or abilities in marketing? Or am I going to do it for real? And if I do it for real, I have two real options, right? Build out a team that may have 3 to 5 people in it, maybe a content writer, maybe a designer, maybe a marketing strategist, a marketing automation expert, and then an outbound prospector, right, or 2 or 3. That collection of talent can, and that's what my MSP did. By the way, there was no Marketopia when I was there. When I had my MSP, the closest thing to Marketopia was a toolkit, and let me tell you, that toolkit was not something I wanted to share with anyone. So I when I you know so that's one option though. I built that team. I had a 5-person team, at least maybe 6, and that's one of the reasons I grew. I understood the importance of all the specialization, created that lead generation engine that added 5K a month or net new or more every month throughout the time I had my MSP. Now, though, people have an alternative strategy, an outsourcing strategy, where they say, you know what, this isn't my thing. I don't have the discipline to get it done myself. I don't have the skills or abilities to get it done myself. The reality is, I'm not willing to spend the money required to build that team, or it doesn't make sense for me to do that because 3 to 5 people in marketing is going to cost me, $250,000 a year or more, maybe even $500,000 if I really want experts. What I really want to do is to take a fractional ownership model, eat my own dog food, and find a firm who can create that robust collection of services because they have a robust collection of talent. Marketopia has 150 people worldwide. We market in 6 different languages. Yeah, we have 3 different offices supporting Asia Pacific, EMEA, and the Americas. And that capability is hard to replicate. You can have
Yeah.
someone who's really good at SEO do your SEO. You don't need a full-time person, but you do benefit from that deep expertise of one focused individual. Same thing on email, search engine optimization, marketing automation, database management, all the digital marketing disciplines. And then on the tele side, I'll be honest with you, lead generation is a heck of a lot harder to do than it is to talk about. It's hard to hire, motivate, inspire, retain, train outbound prospectors. A lot of people think interns are going to make it happen. It's hard to get someone to pick up the phone and call 2,000 people a month and get told no 1,994 times, right? 92 times, depending on the campaign. It's hard to do that. And so, a lot of times outsourcing is the easiest and cheapest path to achieving one's objectives. We know how our customers benefit from holding us accountable for uptime, holding us accountable for customer service and for maintaining patch levels and security standards and that type of thing. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just say, you know what, Terry, I want 10 appointments a month, and I'm willing to listen to you and follow your advice and do what it takes to be successful. And I'll learn how to close a marketing lead versus a word of mouth lead. I'm going to be a student and I'm going to be dedicated to my own success. And that's where Marketopia and really outsourcing in general really pays off. Now, not everyone is Marketopia, and obviously there are other options out there. The key is to find someone who does a lot of different disciplines so that you have that robust collection of touch points and a mature go-to-market strategy and systems and capabilities to kind of help you achieve better results than what you could do it yourself. And so find that capable firm. Don't fall for a cheap maybe subscription, maybe a collection of letters you can mail out. Don't fall for the SEO person that says all you need to do is SEO. Go to a firm that's willing to be accountable for the result. I want 10 appointments a month. And I want an appointment to be 5 seats and up within 50 miles of my office. And I want them to be dissatisfied with their current provider. And I want you to literally stop when I walk in the door and sit next to that prospect. That's where most MSPs are the most successful, by hiring a firm that is held accountable for a result instead of an action,
Well, it's
a goal and a KPI, not just a behavior.
Yeah, it's very similar to what we expect, right? As MSPs, or as former MSPs. I still talk to myself like I'm an MSP because, born and bred in this industry. But we wouldn't recommend, a customer or a client go out and get somebody to manage their 365 and manage their backup and manage their endpoints. You want one MSP who can handle all of that and report back on uptime and productivity and all of those things that, as a not just a technology consultant, but almost as a business consultant, the MSPs should be providing, because MSPs should be solving business problems, not technical problems, right? Technical problems are just part of what they do to solve the business problem. And same thing with a marketing team, right? You want a marketing team that is going to be able to do everything for you and then hand you a lead that then you can go sell to. Now, I think you made a very good point in that the MSP has to be coachable to go out and close the deal, because I see so many complaints about, they brought me, 50 crappy leads last month. Well, first of all, if they brought you 50 leads, you probably, there was no way you could handle 50 leads. I'm just saying, unless you have a dedicated sales team. But you need to learn how to properly manage a sales funnel, and you I mean, it's a thing. Like, you have to learn how to sell. It's not hard, but there is a process. And so you have to be coachable in that process so that when you get handed a lead, you're making the most of that lead. And quite honestly, as a business owner, you are probably most qualified to talk about your business, and you're going to be the most passionate about your business. But there's a process that you go through to make sure that you're not just taking that lead, calling them up, getting rejected, and saying it was a bad lead. There's so much more to it than that.
I totally agree. A lot of us built our business on word of mouth leads. Other people put their reputation on the line to recommend us. And when we walked in the door, the reality was that, Mike got us the appointment. Mike told us how amazing we were. Mike told the prospect that they should hire us. And frankly, that prospect has to report back to Mike whether they do or not. So it's ours to lose. The reality, if we don't drill on ourselves or really try to take advantage of the situation, we should win the vast majority of those. That also means it's a completely different situation than the average lead, right? Someone who finds you online, or someone who picks up the phone and says they'll agree to have a meeting with you over a cup of coffee somewhere. That is not the same thing. And one of the travesties that we see people do is to waste a lot of money trying to run a word of mouth based sales process on a normal marketing lead. In other words, they're asking for the deal too soon. They're not earning the right to do the network assessment. They're talking about themselves and techno babble and blabbering on and about their service. And they don't realize that they've got to earn that. They've got to earn that. They've got to earn that right to talk about those things. They've got to earn the right to be listened to and to be trusted. And you do that through listening and learning and becoming educated, and for the prospect to know that they've been heard. And that takes time. And in our methodology, there's 5 or 6 steps required to get from that stranger to the trusted advisor status, so that they can get those long-term managed services contracts. And so I totally agree with what you're saying. We're very big into principal-led sales, especially on a smaller MSP. And frankly, there are very few business owners that can't learn how to close with proper training and an open mind. And so we give them that as much as we can, because at the end of the day, I didn't come out of retirement to make even more money. I came out of retirement to make a bigger difference. And so if they don't close those leads and they give me money to give them work that doesn't result in revenue, then that's a travesty, and it's quite unfortunate. And so we work really hard here. And I personally, it's like my mission to help people not only get those opportunities, but also learn how to put them in the bank, win them.
Yeah, and I mean, that it is such a huge difference between word of mouth and a traditional lead, because word of mouth comes with that built-in trust already there, and you used the perfect word for it. You have to earn that trust before you can go to the stage where you would normally start with a word of mouth lead. There's, but it again, it's just process, and it's a learnable process. It's not hard to do, but you do need to think about them differently. Kind of goes back to mindset, like we were talking about at the very beginning of the call, right? You have to take a different mindset to it. Word of mouth still works great, right? And you should still be getting word of mouth. In fact, you should be doubling down on word of mouth and being proactive with it, right? Because they are easier
Absolutely.
to close. I mean, let's just face it. The problem is you have a lot more competition out there today that is being very proactive and going out and just blasting, your prospects with other information. So you have to be proactive, but you have to engage traditional marketing and get traditional leads if you think you're going to grow, or that you want to grow, right? Because word of mouth alone can't do it anymore because there's just too much competition out there, from what I've seen.
I totally agree. And the bigger you get, the less successful that is because you end up, everyone's going to lose clients, right? There's so much competition out there that you're going to lose customers. And it's hard to build a word of mouth funnel that's big enough to replace those at some point. You can add more than you lose when you have 10 customers, but once you get to 50, 100, 500 customers, it's hard to generate a reliable word of mouth funnel. And if you think about it, it's kind of like putting the future of your business and your family in the hands of people who don't really care about either one of them, right? Your
Yeah,
customers love you, and when you're small, they have an intimate relationship with you. But the bigger you get, the more corporate you get. The reality is they care a little bit less every day, and so you have to kind of break out of that mindset and start realizing that you've got to evolve and mature, and your organization needs to mature and build out the full business, not just the service department.
yeah. And there are advantages to having a lifestyle business, and I'm never going to knock a lifestyle business. If that's your
Totally
goal,
agree.
great. You're still going to have churn because there are going to be customers who leave not because you did a bad job or not because they didn't like you, but because something happened in their business, catastrophic, that they're just not in business anymore. So you still have to replace those. Churn is a thing. But you're absolutely right, Terry. As you grow, as you collect more and more customers, the chances of those churning is greater because you don't have the personal relationship. Now, I would love to say that you can scale customer experience to the point where you can reduce churn to zero. Not going to happen. I'm sorry, not going to happen. But you can improve it, but it's more effective to make sure that you have a continuous flow into the top of your funnel rather than rely on perfect customer experience. And you guys know how much, I love customer experience. So, Terry, I don't want to hold you up because I know, you got the new baby and everything. So you have responsibilities, and I don't want to keep you too late, especially if you have an opportunity to sleep because, I remember. Um,
Yeah.
but if there's one takeaway that you would give an MSP who is uh, trying to not start a new business, but maybe it applies too, but somebody who's trying to kickstart the growth of their business, what can they do specifically in terms of outsourcing to kick that off and accelerate it faster than they could trying to do it by themselves?
I think the first thing I would say is my team will help you translate your goals into that plan for absolutely nothing. No obligation, no sales pitch required. You can simply leverage the talents of our team that have helped so many hundreds of MSPs around the world achieve their goals. Give us a call. We'll help translate that dream into an actionable plan on a monthly basis. And so I think that's step one is to understand what you're going to need to do to achieve that goal that you have. And then from there, make that conscious decision that you're either willing to do what it takes to achieve your goal, or you want to revise your goal because you're not willing to do what it takes to achieve it. Either way is fine. I have a tremendous amount of respect for people who run lifestyle businesses if that's what they want. What I struggle with are people who have big dreams and big expectations, and frankly, big fantasies about what their business is going to be worth at some point when they're running it that way, right? Um, and outsourcing is the easy option. A swipe of a pen and leads start to flow. And even if you don't close that lead, a real marketing firm, a real generation firm isn't going to stop there. They're going to help you close it. We provide real-time sales coaching, for example, peer groups for salespeople. We will help you close those deals because we're as committed to your ultimate success as you are, right? You pay us for that commitment, but we know what it takes to be successful. Marketopia does almost million and a quarter, $1.5 million a month in managed services revenue. My MSP did about 5 million a year in managed service revenue, something like that. And it took us 6.5 years to get there. So I'll tell you, there's no question in my mind that achievement of dreams is possible. Turning those dreams into expectation is a practical activity that starts with creating that plan and then being willing to do what it takes to achieve that plan. So if outsourcing is right for your listener, I would encourage you to give Marketopia a call. There are other firms out there that offer point solutions and different solves. And frankly, there's some really reputable firms out there that do a great job. But don't be afraid if you've made the mistake to hire someone that didn't work out, or you maybe started down a path with a firm or an internal team and it didn't work out. Don't let that fear keep you from achieving your dreams. Be willing to take chances, open your mind, and willing to trust either yourself or your internal team or an outsourced third party, and do what it takes to achieve your goal. At the end of the day, what I'd love is for our entire industry to join me on the beaches of Florida as we retire and sit there in a rocking chair, sipping different kinds of bourbon, because we did what it takes to achieve our goals and we retired comfortably, and our family was rewarded for the sacrifices that they made to help us get here. That's what we all deserve. And that's what I want every one of your listeners to achieve, is their dream. Whatever that dream is, that's what they deserve to achieve.
Yep. Well, it's awesome, and I really appreciate you giving the audience, the information, the insight into what it takes to have a dream, realize it in a plan, and then find either the internal resources or the external resources to make that plan come together. Because that's really, you can dream it all day long, but if you don't think about it and actually put it on paper, make a concrete plan, and then figure out, actually map the process to get to that plan, you're never going to get there. And part of that plan and that execution is bringing the talents that you don't have into service for you so that you can actually get the numbers, so that you can get the leads, so that you can make the sales and achieve your goals. So I think that's a wrap. Terry, again, thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. I actually think that we have another time on the calendar for March 13th. No, it's not the 13th, because it should be the 15th, I think, is that Wednesday.
Okay.
So that one should be interesting, though. And I meant to talk to you about this because I'm actually in fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in Chicago at CompTIA CCF. So probably not the greatest technical bandwidth type of situation there. So we may have to talk about that offline. But again, thanks very much for joining me. And yeah, we'll see you in another one of these very soon.
Awesome, man. I do appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate what you do to help the channel and entrepreneurs achieve their goals. You bring a valuable service to the market. You have a lot of credibility and a lot of experience that people can pull from. And I've seen some great guests on your program. You're making a difference, man, and thank you for doing that.
Well, just giving back the only way I know how. All right,
Awesome.
everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. And I'm recording this now so that we can stitch it all together so you can watch it late. But yeah, it's going to be a late night editing. That's all I got to say. Anyway, thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you in the next one.